Assalamu alaikum fam, hope you're doing well. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I'm doing something kind of different now that I'm going to start. I wanted to do a collab with some people, but one of them kind of flaked out on doing it. So instead of waiting for them to contribute, I'll just do it on my own on my channel. So this is Britney Spears' song Criminal, and I've been doing a lot of introspection about how in the 90s so many of us young women were conditioned to become rabid, radical feminists that led us into abusive relationships and really helped us to experience a lot of trauma, and how music being not allowed in the Sharia is actually really brilliant. And remember, the Satanists, the occultists, and Luciferians, and so many other different sects, they are really into subversion, inversion, and rebellion, right? Satan is a great rebeller. So in this song Criminal, I wrote down some of the lyrics, and she's talking about a guy she fell in love with. One of them says, "He is a hustler, he's no good at all. He is a loser, he's a bum." And bum is repeated 4 times. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to is a hustler is someone who scams people usually. A hustle in street terms means that you're making money, but it doesn't mean always legitimate. Now, some people say like hustle in football is to move quickly, right? But a hustler often can mean a drug dealer. It can mean someone who's pushing narcotics and other things like that. And you're not really being legit or honorable. So notice already, she's describing someone whom she has affection for. And to say he's no good at all, when you say that a man has no good, it's usually for a good reason. And so if some woman declares that a man is a hustler and he's no good, this is already setting up your mental picture of who this person is and his character. Now, when she calls him a loser, this is interesting because to be a loser and a hustler means you're not a successful hustler. So you're quite incompetent, right? Because to be a successful hustler, you must have some ingenuity to get your paper. So if he is a loser, he's not even a good hustler. He's a bum was repeated 4 times. Now, a bum, the classic tradition of what that is somebody who, they lie around, they don't work hard, they don't have really sense of cleanliness, they are very sloth-like. So if you notice the word bum and hustler, usually those are 2 terms that are contradictory there. To hustle is to move quick, but he is not. So he's a bum. He's a bum, a loser. He's no good at all, and he's a hustler. So already you have quite a negative picture of who this person is in your mind. This isn't a song that was played to young women like myself on TV without parental control. She was a Disney star, heavily promoted. Her merchandise was sold in Toys R Us to millions of little girls across the United States. And she was on Nickelodeon. She was on a lot of different music shows, okay? You'd go in the store, you'd hear her music. And then the next lyric, he lies, he bluffs, he's unreliable. So if someone lies a lot, they definitely have a bad character. Habitual liars are dangerous people to be around because you never know how you can trust them. If you can't trust somebody, you really can't have them around. Because if something goes missing, or you give them a responsibility, they'll fail and you won't be able to correct anything because they'll lie. He bluffs. So someone who bluffs. In poker, that's a smart thing to do if you're playing cards. Playing cards is haram, by the way. But when you bluff, it's also a game of chicken. You're appearing to be something that you're not, hoping that your opponent will see you and not like you and want to, back down. When someone bluffs, sometimes it means they're not necessarily going to back it up. It's like a small dog who is barking at another dog. He acts really tough, but once you lift open the fence, he actually runs. And the dog who barked less is chasing him. So he bluffed and someone called his bluff, right? Bluffing is very common in fighting. Someone will say, I'm gonna knock you out, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then when they come up, they're like, oh, the person backs out. The one that was getting yelled at calls the bluff and realizes that person wasn't about nothing, they ain't gonna do nothing. So he's bluffing. And he's unreliable. Now, if you have a husband, he's unreliable, that usually means he doesn't pay things on time, he's not home on time, he's not going to be reliable in terms of bringing home the money or making the money, and you can't build a stable home of security upon that, because relationships are built upon trust, and a family structure is built upon having a reliable, hard-working, steady man. Okay? That is the ideal husband, is one who is reliable. So already in the song, he's been called a hustler. He's no good at all. He's a loser. He's a bum. He lies. He bluffs. And he's unreliable. Now, hustlers usually lie. And losers are bums. And a bum can bluff, right? And if he's no good at all, then he's not even good at bluffing. And a hustler that's unreliable is also something that doesn't make sense, because an unreliable hustler is definitely a loser and a bum, because their pattern is not consistent, right? So he's a failure all around. Now the next interesting quote here from the song is, I know you told me I should stay away. Now this is the interesting part. Advice that parents give to their young ones, especially their beautiful daughters. Stay away from him. And when a parent tells you he's a hustler, he's a loser, he's a bum, he's no good at all, he's unreliable, that's your mother giving you wise, great counsel. And to rebel against that is great sin and causes much trauma, okay? And she knows she's like, I know you told me to stay away, right? I should stay away. Already here, this Disney-backed, Nickelodeon-promoted woman is slipping into the minds of young girls that they can hear one thing and let it exit out the other ear. That you should brush off your parents' advice, right? Brush it off. Even when all the signs are there that guy is a loser, you should go to your baser nature and not listen to the wise advice and instead do as you will. This is part of, really breaking up the family authority. And feminism really rebels against a mother order and a father order, and puts the ego as the prime thing, which is usually based upon materialism and vanity and egoism. So it's really interesting that in the song there is something that is like a self-admittance of, she knows what she's doing is incorrect. All the signs are there, but she's still following through. That's called a fool. It's called stupidity, right? Now, the next line, he is a bad boy with a tainted heart. And even I know this ain't smart. So again, she said, I know you told me to basically stay away. And now she's saying, even though it's not smart. So she knows it's not smart. She's been warned and she can see the signs. Now, I made a video a while back called Bad Boys. How they are something that's been programmed into the mind of girls in the 90s, okay? Through Hollywood and music. Another example of why music is such a destructive force. Because it can bypass the wonderful wisdom your parents gave you. So she knows she's been told to stay away from losers, bums, liars, hustlers, degenerates essentially, right? And she admits he has a tainted heart. If someone's unreliable and they have a tainted heart, clearly this is not father material. It's not husband material. And your mother and father want you to have a good mate, not a bad mate. They don't want a bad boy, they want a righteous man. You see the difference? A husband must be a man, must be a leader of a family. A boy is a bum. A bad boy is a bum, is a loser. This is what I've been trying to make clear to some girls here. So already you see how a pop star is making songs romanticizing the worst of partners, the worst of mates, to young girls, and Christian parents at this time let their children listen to these songs. And now you see the fruits of how Christianity has been really demoralized from its classical roots. If the Puritans of the 17th century and 15th century, 16th could see, they'd be like, wow, even the Calvinists and even the Protestants. The slow decline of Christian authority was done systematically through music. Yet Christians today won't get rid of music. And you have to really wonder why they don't see the wisdom in highly regulating music. Continues. But mama, I'm in love with a criminal, and that repeats throughout the song. Now, she said, but mama, I know you'd have told me to stay away. I know this ain't smart. So clearly in the song, she is acknowledging she's doing something wrong, but is continuing the behavior anyways. So a crazy person will continue to do something that is clearly wrong, all the signs are there, against the wishes of their mother and father, right? Now this song was promoted on the radio, right? And to tons of little girls, and they hear, I'm in love with a criminal. Now, you have an epidemic of 13 million single mothers. You have men walking out on their women, and women choosing criminals because of the sex appeal they think is there, that they've been programmed to think of. And this has caused mass instability in the family structure, from women picking bad men, okay? Picking losers, bums, hustlers, unreliable men. And how did we get here? Is because the media, the people who were very liberal and progressive, promoted sexual revolutionary icons that destroyed the divine order that God's law has for the genders and what should be put in place to maintain family units. The secularists will say this music is harmless, but they don't want to acknowledge how it repeats in the head and it becomes like a mantra, and people adopt it subconsciously and act upon it. And it becomes a sort of woven creed within them due to the fact that they listen to it so much more than something that's calling them to something better. They deny this. They deny the effects of music on the human mind, and they mock religious people for wanting to regulate such music. She's promoting falling in love with a criminal. And not even a successful criminal, mind you. It's not like she's saying be with a mafia boss, which is even worse, right? But he's a rich dude, right? Tony Soprano dude. At least he can buy groceries, right? You should never be with a criminal, but you get my point. She's with a loser, a bum, not even a successful criminal, which is what has caused so much projects to be built, because women were choosing bum men who were wannabe thugs because of what they saw on the TV, because their dads weren't around. And then women choosing to be something less than because they were the woman of a degenerate criminal and not a successful criminal like those crooks. Like a politician is a successful criminal, right? This is something that you need to think about. And then she says, even in the song, this type of love isn't rational, it's physical. So she says it isn't rational. It's not rational what she's doing. To be with a loser bum, someone who her mother has clearly made clear that it's not really marriage material. It's physical, meaning lust. It's the baser nature. The animalistic, satanic, unpure, unholy, nonsensical, rabid lust that is diluted, impure, and can lead to nothing good. It's the inversion of marriage. which is to a good man, a good provider, a stable man, an honest man. What she is promoting is the opposite of that, right? And girls seeing her beauty, believing that if that pretty girl can be happy with a man like that, why can't I? Because when you don't have a present mother, you will attach yourself to Hollywood icons. Okay? You start to worship them. Worship in the sense of idolizing them, mimicking them, copying their dress, everything. Bleaching your hair blonde. I had a cousin who was obsessed with Britney Spears. Obsessed. It's just, wow. Literally, just Britney Spears posters, this was heavily promoted. Okay? Mama, please don't cry. I will be alright. And this repeats. Notice this. Please don't cry. I'll be alright. No, you won't be alright. You know how you won't be alright is because you don't have a stable provider. You're not with someone who's honest, just with a liar. You're with a loser. How can you be alright? You won't be alright with a criminal. He'll go to jail. You'll be left alone. Your children can be hungry. They need something. If he's a bum, he has no work ethic to provide for his own children, to afford diapers. That isn't a good man. And if the mother is crying because of the decisions of her daughter, you know that the mother has seen how worthless this man is. Yet she is lecturing her mom to accept her actions because she's a free, empowered woman. This is the feminist tone, where you're so empowered, you're so egotistical, you're so into rebelliousness and disobeying your parental authority and the laws that are ordained by God, that you choose to go with something that is physical rather than rational, when marriage should be rational. It should not be built upon lust, because lust is fleeting. And if you have lust for a loser, a bum, someone who bluffs, who has a tainted heart, who's unreliable, there is no fruit in that. And any mother would weep, logically, for their daughter choosing such a horrific mate. Yet this song was promoted to girls. And girls listen to it over and over and over, and as they're going through their hormones, and their mom saying, don't talk to this boy, stay away from that boy, because there wasn't really cell phones at this time. And if there was like the Razor, the Kyocera. It wasn't like today, right? Parents had the old cord phone. They could hear what their children were saying. Supervision was more potent. So this was getting the seed planted in sexual revolution, feminist rebellion, empowering women to discard the safety of their parents to choose a criminal because a Hollywood icon who serves the dark arts has told them and fed them this lie. And beauty can lead women astray because beauty makes young girls who are insecure think, if she did it, I can do it, because you live vicariously through them. And it's a really strange phenomenon that this occurs, but it does, right? Then she continues in the song, he is a villain by the devil's law. Think about that lyric for a second. A villain has no good. He's up to no good. Okay? She already said he has a tainted heart, right? By the devil's law. So that means he's not obeying God's law of righteousness, of being reliable, of being truthful, of following through on your commitments, holding fast to your word, right? Being a provider, a guardian of your family, being loved by your mother-in-law and your father-in-law, right? He's working by the devil's law and is categorized under the devil's law as being among them. And any mother would weep to have someone in the legions of the devil's army to be snatching up the soul of their daughter. Do you see what's being promoted here? Yet Christians allowed this to be around their daughters. He is a killer just for fun, and fun is said 4 times, emphasizing fun. If someone kills for fun, not because of justice, they are indeed a villain and a servant of the devil, because it's an arbitrary death total. It's arbitrary. There's no point behind it. It's malice. It's vicious. It's evil. It's discord, unharmonic, right? And to be categorized in that way is not reliable. Because they're, like she said, is unpredictable. If you're with a crazy person, he could love you one minute, betray you the next. He has no loyalty. Right? And it's interesting how it says here, he's a snitch and unpredictable. A snitch is someone who will tell the cops. So if you're a hustler and a snitch, as it says in the song, you're bad because people who work within you to hustle are going to take you out. Because if you are a criminal, you can't be a snitch because you'll get taken out. So this means he'll be taken out by his own network, right? And he'll also be taken out by the law. You see the point here? So if he's going to be a snitch and be a criminal, that's like being a politician who tells on their own corruption. It wouldn't make sense. Unreliable and unpredictable. 2 key points there. The chaos. When you're pregnant, you want peace. When you have a newborn baby, you want peace. If someone's unpredictable and unreliable, they're an unsuitable mate. You will not have a happy life. So of course any mother would weep. Okay? He's got no conscience. None. And none is repeated 4 times. When you don't have a conscience, you're a villain and you're serving the devil. Because you have no inner voice telling you, don't do this. So if he is unpredictable with, no conscience, he's capable of a wrath of a different level that is demonic. Alright? And you can't raise a family with someone who has that type of conscience. Then she goes further in the song. And I hear people talking, trying to remark to keep us apart. And then she goes, but I don't even hear. I don't care. So she hears people saying, like, can you believe she chose this bum, this bad guy? And she's saying, I don't care. I don't even hear you. And then tells her mother not to cry. Do you see the thing here? It's teaching the young girls to don't judge me, even if people are clearly worrying about you. There's a point in if the community has disavowed a figure and your own parents, you have chosen a mate who is bad. And it's not that he's good and they just don't like him for an arbitrary reason. She laid out why he's bad. Unreliable, no good, a bum, a hustler, he lies, he's a bad boy. The love isn't rational, it's physical. So she has all these negative reasons. Yet, she's a fool who holds on. And the rebelliousness of, I don't care. This is the heedlessness that caused so many girls to be traumatized by sexual abuse, by abusive men, by pimps. This fueled human trafficking because girls thought criminals were these sexy icons because Britney Spears told them it was okay. And, well, it must be okay because it's on TV, it's on the radio. And then secular liberal parents said, well, it's up to the parents if they don't want their kids to hear this. Yet it was almost inescapable to get out from. You go in the grocery store, you go in the hair salon, everywhere you go there's music. Okay? And you go through the channels on the television, she's there. Okay? All her songs are heavily promoted and targeted towards young girls. It's impossible to hear one of her songs and then not hear the others. Because if you're a fan of young girl Britney Spears, you're waiting for every one of her new songs. And the young girls are listening to this on repeat. Okay? And then this also gets into the abortion culture. Oh, you went and slept with a criminal against your parents' wishes. Just abort the baby. Yeah. Execute it and, don't even worry about it. So notice this. When people point out this occultic, this sort of cryptic Satanism, Luciferianism within music, it is true, but the secular liberal atheist feminists deny it because this is their values. Okay? As the apostates and other people on YouTube, they mock people for not wanting drugs and porn and all this stuff because they serve evil. They serve something baser, unholy, unpious, unrighteous. So they are blinded to the wisdom that religious people give them. So I wonder on Judgment Day What will happen to Britney because of the millions of young girls she inspired to betray reason, to betray God's law, to choose someone who is a villain by the devil's law, as it says in the song itself, and where a community openly sees what is occurring is deeply, deeply troubling. So this song, Criminal by Britney Spears, they dress up the lyrics with lights and beauty, and then they spoon feed you this very dark message. But it's hard for people to see because of she's so pretty, it's a good beat, but the lyrics, they get in your head. They make you think. You become bonded to the song, you turn it on and it's played over and over. By your choice and not by your choice, as you flip through the radios or have your MP3 or whatever. Okay? You go in the toy store, there was aisles filled with Britney Spears stuff there. Okay? She's still followed by Dan Crenshaw, a supposedly conservative lawmaker, right? She's still seen as an icon to many Republican Christians in America, even though she herself is a living example of Satanism. And I know people love making fun of that word, but look at the words themselves. What is the message behind it? Okay? And this is another reason why music, a beat, can really get things into your head, and you can adopt them without even realizing it, because a beautiful woman is telling you something, and the beat makes you get these kind of emotions, while the words themselves replay and replay in your head nonstop. So this is something we have to undo. This is what feminism and sexual empowerment and female liberation led us to. She was part of that movement. And we must continue to guard our children from new Britney Spearses, right? People who are following in her footsteps. Very important. What do you think?